I'm on. You hear me? Cool.
Hello everybody, thank you for joining us tonight. You are with the research vessel Falkor and Schmidt Ocean Institute. We are live in the control room on the research vessel Falkor. I'm going to wait just a minute or so as everybody keeps joining. I am joined with a couple of our amazing crew members, and we are going to take you on both a video and live tour of Falkor. So we're going to have some video that will show you some places that we can't quite show you right now. The bridge is quite dark. It's 10 p.m. here. We are on the western side of Australia, off the coast of Exumeth. We are in a place called Ningaloo Canyons, and we have been doing some ROV dive expeditions with the Western Australia Museum. But tonight we're here to talk to Paul Duncan and Peter Reynolds, and they are both crew members on board. Pete is our captain, and Jimbo is our lead marine technician, and they're going to tell you a little bit about their jobs here on Falkor. We're also going to show you some spaces that you don't normally get to see, our engine room and our galley, and we'll take you live through some of our wet labs, control room, dry lab, and maybe we'll peek out on the aft deck. But we are right now experiencing some extreme weather, so we haven't been diving the last few days, and so we are hope to be diving in a few days, and you can watch all of that live feed right here on YouTube and Facebook. So thanks for coming along on this expedition. My name is Deborah Smith. I'm a marine technician here on Falkor. I'll be doing the tour on Falkor later, and I'm going to turn it over to Pete. Pete, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hi there, yeah, my name's Pete. I'm the captain of the Falkor, so I've got overall responsibility for everything that happens on board, so basically making sure everyone's safe and the work is carried out efficiently. Jimbo?
Hi, my name is Paul, but everyone calls me Jimbo. I'm the lead technician on Falkor. I'm in charge of all the permanently fitted science kit, like the multi-beam echo sounders, the meteorological instruments, the sea surface instrumentation, and the CTD. And I have a department of myself, plus two other technicians, including Deb.
Amazing. So I'm going to ask you both a question real quick before we go on to the video. What is the one thing you both most enjoy about working on Falkor?
Oh, well, I love working on Falkor. It's a great ship. We've got a great crew and we do some really interesting work. So that's about it from me. Jimbo?
Yeah, it's the friendliest research vessel I've ever sailed on, and without a doubt it's the best sonar ship I've ever sailed on. So those 2 points make it a great ship.
Amazing. So we will have more questions for them both, but first we're going to show you a little bit of video and take you on a tour. And unfortunately it is virtual, but we will show you some of the ship live here shortly. So Pete, the first section is about the bridge. What goes on? So this is an overview drone footage of Falkor, but you'll see in a minute here the bridge. Can you tell us a little bit about what happens on the bridge of a ship?
It's basically the bridge is where we operate the Falkor from. So it's manned 24 hours a day when we're at sea. There we've got 3 watch-keeping officers. That's Tony on watch there. He's the 12 to 4 officer and the medical officer. So they take it in turns, the 3 navigational officers. They do 4 hours on, 8 hours off. And then so basically they're in charge whilst they're on watch. And yeah, we just drive the ship and make sure it's operated safely and update the science from up there as well.
And now it's changed to the Galley.
Yeah.
So we've got 2 excellent chefs, Bert and Peter. You're seeing Peter here, and they have to cater for everyone's dietary needs on board. I'm vegan, Deb's gluten-free, and they keep us all happy and fed. Food is really, really important on a ship.
Absolutely.
So that's the bakery.
That's the bakery, yeah.
Yeah, so we have a bakery. We have, how many different fridges and freezers do we have on board? We didn't show that level.
I don't know, lots.
Quite a few. 6, I reckon. We've got the walk-in freezer and the fridges, and there's plenty of food. We've got to.
I'm going to actually back the video up there just a minute. This is actually where we all, sorry everybody at home, this is where we eat and have all our meals. That's me having a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
And watching the dive footage here as well.
This is going down the engine room now.
Yeah.
The control room. So
the first thing here you see is the electrical switchboards. Basically, Falkor generates all its own electricity, so you've got basically a mini power station here. So we've got about 5 different generators on board. hit one or two of them at once. There's Alan, our chief engineer. And there's inside the main part of the engine room, the main propulsion engines are to our right. We've got two of those. They turn the propellers. They're almost 40 years old, and so we have a fantastic set of engineers looking after them. That's the MAN science generator to the left.
And our guest appearance by Dante and Albert, our fitters.
Yeah.
They make all of our incredible fabrications on board.
All right, what do we got here?
Is this the reverse osmosis water makers?
Nope, that's to the right.
All right.
I think it's part of the same system. See, none of us are engineers. We were supposed to have a guest appearance today by one of our engineers, but they're incredibly busy this evening.
That in the over there is the RO plant.
Yes.
Oh, and here we are at the bottom of the main propulsion engines. Starboard engine there. And then we're coming up to one of our newly fitted generators. These are the Mtu Generators. Oops, no.
That's the shaft.
Yeah, that's one of the shafts. Starboard shaft there?
Yes, starboard shaft.
These are the new Mtu generators that were fitted in 2017 in one of our dry dock periods. They cut a hole in the side of the ship, dragged the old generators out, and put these new ones inside. It was quite an exercise. We're coming back between the two main propulsion engines again. Got the port engine on the left, starboard engine on the right. Sure what to say about this?
Pumps.
Do you guys know what all the different colors are for?
Different lines. I think the green pumps are for seawater ballast, and I think you'll have blue for fresh water, and I think the yellow ones would be for oil.
Oh.
And anything red is a fire main, isn't it?
Yeah, red's fire main. These are the seawater valves.
Very interesting.
Ballast water treatment plant there, I think.
There's the reverse osmosis plant on the right there. That generates all our fresh water. Now we're going to have a peek inside the engineer's workshop.
Aha.
And there's Dante and Albert making something.
They're actually making an air duct vent. So one of the things you can't do is run out to the store here out at sea. And if you have either a new room that needs some air conditioning, or you need to extend a door or any kind of fabrication, these guys do amazing work. And we're back. And so there's a question. I'm going to pause the screen right here. There's a question from home already. What are those two big white domes on top of your ship?
Ah, Jimbo, this is your speciality.
Okay.
VSAT.
So the two big white golf balls are fairings for two satellite dishes, two dual-band Intellian satellite dishes, and they are the reason you're able to see and hear us right now. They're called VSAT dishes, and all our telephone and internet traffic, including the stream, goes across those. There are two of them, so basically if one of them is trying to look through the mast, the other one won't be, so it gives us a bit of redundancy as well.
Amazing. So I have another question for you. What do you both find the most challenging thing about your job?
Challenging one. It's got to be being away from home. You just miss the wife and kids. So it's that's the hardest bit.
Pete, why don't you give a shout out to them, because I think they're all watching this
I know
evening.
I've got a lot of fans there tonight. So yeah, thanks for coming. It's thank you. There's a lot there.
And I can see my wife Dawn is on there.
Excellent.
Hello Dawn. Hello Ethan. That's great. As well as missing family, I think the paperwork side of the job is not something I really enjoy. It's necessary and everything for planned maintenance, but I like to be playing with things rather than doing paperwork. But that's me.
Awesome. I am going to ask my lovely video assistant Casey to come in, and we are going to transition and show you a little bit more of a tour. We're going to take you on some areas of Falkor with our live iPhone. And so we will join Pete and Paul, or Jimbo, as we have lovingly, affectionately nicknamed him here. We'll come back to them for some more questions. If you guys have questions at home, please feel free to reach out and ask us if you want to know a little bit about the jobs here on FAlkor. Maybe as we're getting set up, Jimbo and Pete, can you guys talk a little bit about how many crew members we have? What are the other types of jobs that you can do? I think some of you have already seen we have chefs on board, and there are many more departments. I'm going to turn you guys back big. Video engineer, if anybody's a budding video engineer, I've literally had to learn how to do this on the fly, so you too can come to see and play with live streaming. So take it away, guys, and I'm going to switch to a different headset.
All right.
So start with the deck department, I suppose.
Yeah, so the ship, there's 44 people on board. There's 23 like permanent ship staff. They're broken to 4 departments. We got the deck department, which is the bridge officers, myself, and we get the deck hands on deck, and we got engineering for engineers.
Normally.
Fitters, yeah, normally, yeah. And then we got the interior department, which was the purser, the 2 chefs, and the stewardesses.
Science department.
Science department, which is you, isn't it?
Yep,
So
me
you.
and 2 technicians, Carl and Deb. Yeah.
So yeah, we all work 2 months on, 2 months off, pretty much. So it's 46 permanently employed crew members on board, so it's pretty nice. You've got a good work-life balance as well. So you go away for 2 months at a time, and then we have 2 months at home. So it's yeah.
All our laundry done while we're here. All our food cooked. How to do washing up. It's great.
Yeah.
Awesome, guys. Thanks so much. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah,
We
you're
can.
coming through loud and clear.
Awesome. So we're going to switch over, and I hope those of you at home can see me. We are currently in our dry lab. So I think some of you might have tuned in and saw our show the other night about our wet lab. This is what David was referring to as our dry lab. We have a space that scientists can install different computer systems. We have a number of computer systems. If Casey can turn around, we have quite a number of computer systems ourselves here. I will give you a peek inside of our server room. Follow me. This camera has a mind of its own. Oh goodness, and it's dark in here. So this is where all of the computers for our multi-beam sonars, our navigation for not only the sonars, but all of the data that we collect on board is basically stored and housed in this tiny square footage of a room. We collect the data on very large hard drives and send it all ashore, and then it's uploaded and people can access that data because all of our data on FAlkor is opened and available for any scientist to use. One of the other features we have on FAlkor is we have a 3D printer. Actually upgrading and getting a new 3D printer here shortly. So this is will be our baby 3D printer, and then we'll have our big 3D printer. Be excited for. The room behind me, which we're not going to go into, but the Marine Techs have their own office, and this allows us to also have another station where we can monitor all of the data and run the multi-beam or the CTDs or any kind of information from there, and we can watch the live feeds without having to be in the room. Next, I'm going to take you to one of our other spots on board. We're going to go into the library.
Hey, Captain, this is J-Rod. Somebody wants to know how long our shifts are while she's walking over there.
You're coming through very quiet, Jared.
Yeah, we work for 12 hours a day.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So it's slightly different for the deck officers, but certainly in the science department, it's 12 hours a day.
Yeah.
So this is the library. This is a space on FAlkor that the science team and the crew both use in conjunction. We just actually had what we call a seminar at sea, where one of the science team can gather everybody on board and explain a little bit about the science that's going on or a specialty that they're working on. So our chief scientist, Dr. Nerida Wilson, tonight gave us a really great little seminar at sea about dragons and machine learning with sort of her studies that she's done with sea dragons. So it was really neat and amazing to see. So it's also a quiet space to watch a movie or read a book or work on a paper. And so this really provides our largest sort of meeting room space on FAlkor. It also becomes quite crowded with books and computers and laptops. We're going to continue our tour towards the aft part of the Falkor. I'm going to have Casey actually show you a little bit far forward here. You can see this is a passageway, and we are experiencing some weather. So if the image seems a bit rocky, that's because we are actually rolling quite a bit. In case you didn't know, Falkor was named after a character in the Neverending Story. Can't believe I'm actually able to walk backwards doing this. It was the luck dragon in the 1980s children's film Neverending Story. So you'll find all around Falkor different quotes from the movie. Our founders were really fond of this movie, and their kids were very fond of it, and so it's really kind of fun to go through a passageway and find, depending on the area that you're at, different quote from the book. I'm going to turn around for safety reasons now. For those of you who joined us just a couple nights ago, this is our wet lab. I think many of you saw it in very deep depth. Georgia and David gave us a tour. But this room is essentially here for science teams to do any kind of wet work. Samples off the ROV, chemistry, biology, filtering water. We have a conductivity, temperature, and depth CTD unit, which goes down and takes water samples from the seafloor all the way up to the water column, and they can come in here and process that. We have fridges and freezers that they have the ability to store samples with before they take them back home. A fume hood that they can do some chemical work in. We have chemical storage, so we try to make it as much like their laboratories at home so that they can do as much of their work here while they're at sea. If you follow me, we're going to come into our hangar, which is mostly clean. This is where the ROV team and the marine tech teams work on different pieces of equipment. This is basically our working garage. So if anything is not working on Falkor, and as you can see, I'm nearly falling over, you can fix any of those equipment in here. They have all of the tools that they need here, spare parts, and it's a really great workshop space for them. And there's a hangar door that goes right out onto the aft deck, and so you have easy access to equipment on deck as well as the tools inside. You can see here on the side part of our workshop, it's a small lathe. People are working on fixing some parts while the vehicle's been out of the water. And I'm going to open the door to the aft deck. Bear with me, that might take a minute. Maybe oh, and actually here, as Casey's going by, she can show you while I open the door. This mural on our aft corridor was done by an artist at sea on one of our transits, and it's of the ghost fish that were actually seen by Falkor way down deep in the Marianas Trench by one of our landers. This is our aft deck. I'll try not to get too wet, and sorry for the wind. We are experiencing quite a breezy day out here, but you can see ROV Sebastian. It's a little dark out here, so I won't give you too much, but just wanted to be able to show you some of the places that you see every day that you may not have had an opportunity to see on Falkor. So I'm going to send it back into the control room, and if we have any questions from home, Jason is right there to ask and pass them along.
Okay, well, I noticed a question from a couple of people, including Dawn, about 3D printing.
Oh, yeah.
So one of the things we printed recently, Carl worked on a job to print 3 on-air signs for the control room. One in the middle of the control room screen, so everyone in the control room knows when we're doing live audio, and one just outside the control room in the dry lab and outside in the main hallway, so that people who are about to come into the control room know that there's live broadcast in progress.
Captain, if you could hit that microphone
yeah,
button.
actually, just
We'll
click on
see
the
it coming
microphone
on.
button there.
Yeah.
On there?
Yeah.
Can they just about see it over there?
Yeah, just a little bit.
Yeah, you can just about make out the red light there at the top in the middle of the screens, but it's pretty cool. So we've done those 3 things. We've printed small parts to go on the ROV to protect certain joints on the manipulator arms. Those are the things I can think of offhand. Not sure if J-Rod can think of anything else, but there's been other bits and pieces. They have actually 3D printed representations of the multi-beam bathymetry that we've logged as well, but that doesn't happen too often.
We've also actually managed to 3D scan some corals and brittle stars and 3D print them.
Oh, okay.
And the crane control labels that we printed today. Yeah. So the old ones got faded, so we've made some new ones on board, so I'm having to order them.
Oh, I saw those. I wondered what they were. Okay. Right, what else have we got there?
How long can we stay at sea? I saw that one that came up. That's a pretty good question. We can stay about 30 days at sea. We're limited by the fuel and food pretty much. So it's, we can make enough fresh water to keep us going with our reverse osmosis plants. But yeah, about 30 days is our maximum endurance.
And the amount of rubbish we can store.
Yeah,
that is a problem, isn't it?
Pretty key, that as well.
Who gets the most seasick? I'm not sure we keep records of that, do we?
No, you generally do get people get seasick. It takes a few days to adjust, but generally people get better. Question there from Emmy. Do you guys ever get jet lag? Yes.
Definitely.
We fly all the way across the world, so Australia's a long way away. It's we're 8 hours ahead, or 7 hours ahead in the UK at the moment, so it's yeah, it takes a few days to adjust, and then.
All right, Captain. There's a question
about jogging.
Yeah, there's a question about you going for a jog. Let me. They're going down to the gym right now.
Oh, cool.
Here you go.
Yeah, I'm back there. We got a little gym on board, which is pretty good, very well equipped. We've got a running machine, we've got a rowing machine, we've got a cycle, we've got another cycle on deck as well, and we've got weights as well. So. We also do circuits as well. There's got a lot of fitness on board, and just manage to do a bit of jiu-jitsu every now and again. So it's, we keep pretty active on board. It does help to pass the free time.
So I found out that the clear comms actually don't work in the gym.
All right.
Blind spot. So the bottom of the stairwell. So Casey's showing you guys the gym right now, I think.
Not anymore.
Not anymore.
No. Right. There we go.
Okay. She's giving you a little tour around. Okay, and then I'm asking her to come out, and we're going to go across the hall into the laundry. So I'm going to stay in the hallway, but essentially also we have a laundry room. Anybody's knickers. I think Jimbo mentioned earlier today that one of his favorite things about Falkor is that he has his laundry done here.
Yeah, absolutely. So we had another question. Do you collect the rubbish you see to get rid of it? Yeah, great one. So we quite often see bits of stuff at the bottom of the seabed. It's amazing what actually makes it down there, including plastic bags getting right down to the bottom of the seabed. And if it's easier for us to do, yeah, the ROV crew pick it up, bring it back to the surface, and dispose of it. But yeah, definitely do that.
All right, looks like we have a question about the scientists working the 24 hours. Jimbo, you want to answer that one?
Where's that?
It's on the Facebook right here.
With crew working 24 hours, why don't the scientists... depends how many scientists are on board, and it depends on the nature of the science going on. For example, right now, partly because of the weather, there's not an awful lot going on, but even if there weren't, primarily our overnight hours are logging the multi-beam data to enhance their knowledge of what's actually down there. So we've got a very, as I said before, this is probably one of the best sonar ships I've ever sailed on. And right now we're logging EM302 data, and we can see the depth below us right now is 1,645 meters, and we can see roughly what the seabed below us looks like as well.
We had a note from home because there's a bit of an echo, and it's because we have two microphones.
Oh, sorry, that's my fault. That's one from my son, Fergal. Hi, Fergs. In Wales, how long is the ship? Well, that's a good question.
Depends on what type of whale it is.
It is, and how big the whale is. The ship's 83 meters long. Well, what's a whale? 10 meters?
But what about a blue whale? That's got to be at least like 30 meters, right?
30 meters.
Like
two and a bit.
2.5 blue whales.
2 and a bit.
Okay.
Yeah, well, that's the answer.
Where are we? Will you still be coming to Broome?
Yes. That's our next port call. We've got a port call scheduled in Broome from the 8th to the 14th of April, and we'll be going alongside the pier there just for one day on the 8th to demobilise and mobilise for the next cruise.
Right, I want to answer your son's question.
Go on.
Has anyone ever fallen over? Last night, I was sitting at my desk in the cabin, big roll, got thrown off the chair.
Good. Yeah, I thought you meant falling overboard into the sea. That's a different proposition completely.
No,
So
we've not lost anyone in the sea so far.
as one from my wife, is the food better on board than it is at home? I would say it depends who's cooking. But no, honestly, the chefs are really good on here, so it's hard to compete.
Can you drink alcohol on board? We do. Yeah. You want to talk about that alcohol policy?
Yeah, something I talk about quite often actually. We're allowed we have beer and wine on board. You're allowed up to glasses of beer. Yeah, so we're allowed to.
Generally, people don't do that much. I mean, do they? I haven't had a drink for weeks, I think. So
no,
yeah.
Same here.
Right, what have we got here?
All right.
Okay, now I think you can hear me. Sorry. So the question was, is it hard to sleep in rough seas? And I think for everybody that's a different answer. Usually I don't have a problem in a really big roll. I fall right asleep and I usually stay asleep. The last few nights, I don't know what it is about this roll. We've been running east-west in a trough while we've been mapping. And so it's been a bit of an on and off sleep cycle. You get just asleep and the boat starts to roll one direction and then you feel like you're falling out of bed. So I think everybody has a bit of a different story there, but usually when the weather's up, not very many people sleep through the night.
I didn't get much sleep the last 2 nights. So has the ship ever rescued someone stranded at sea? Well, we did in our previous job, didn't we?
James Cook.
I'm not sure if this one ever has.
We rescued Oscar the other day.
Oh, yeah, that's right. We did a man. Good. Yeah, well done. We did a man overboard exercise when we left Exmouth. We threw over the dummy over the side, and so it's quite impressive, really. We're ready if someone does.
Another quick one there. What do the ROVs use for power? Well, they basically have an umbilical that comes all the way from a winch on the ship. And so they use the power that is generated by the ship's generators, some of the engines you saw in the engine room there. What else have we got? How long to get seabed on deep dives? Well, okay, so on deep dives, it can take, 2 or 3 hours, J-Rod, to get down there? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Obviously, the same to come back up, so that limits the amount of time you can stay down on the seabed. So
the ROV typically descends at 30 meters a minute? Ish? No? I'm getting a head shake. I've totally got this number wrong. Let's let the pilot answer it.
Yeah.
We like to go down between 20 to 25. That way we're not pushing the thrusters too hard to get all the way down. Sometimes if we're trying to make up from some time lost, we will push it to 30 to 35 meters a minute, but we're really pushing the ROV when we do that.
Okay, I see one aimed at me. What did Paul study at school, college, and did he always want to work at sea? Well, I always loved being on the water. Learned to kayak before I could swim. But what I studied, I got something called a BTEC, Higher National Diploma in Computer Studies. So I started off on the computer study side of things, and then my sister, who is far cleverer than me, found me my first job on a research vessel with the British government research ships. And that's how I got started.
Hey everybody, bear with me 1 second. Pete, I'm going to switch headsets with you because yours keeps dropping in and out.
We did have another question about the ROV umbilical and if the cable ever gets tangled while maneuvering. Thankfully, we have not had that to be an issue. The way that we set up our floats for the Cantonary, we have 2 floats that are 30 meters above the ROV to keep the umbilical straight up and down. And then after about 100 meters, we put 10 floats to make a catenary to keep the slack, so when the vessel's moving up and down, we don't feel it. So as we're maneuvering, as long as we keep a good eye on what's going on and the maps that we've done before we got there, we know that our umbilical isn't going to be running into any of the cliffs that are in front of us. There have been times we've gotten close, but it's known and we have not been tangled yet.
I saw a quick question about the capacity of the generators. Sorry, we haven't got an engineer with us, so unless you know the answer to that.
Yeah, there's got 2 MTUs, about 700 kilowatts each.
Oh, okay.
And we got the
MAN,
which is 500 kilowatts, and the emergency generator, which doubles as a harbour generator,
Yep.
which is about 400 kilowatts. So it's a.
I'm impressed you know all that.
Yeah, I do pay attention.
Wow. Okay,
He is the captain, Jimbo.
that's true.
There's a follow-on question to that. How much water do we keep on board?
It's about 90 tons, 90 cubic meters, but we can make much more than we actually consume. I think we generally consume about 5 to 10 cubic meters a day, but we can make twice as much as that, so it's never an issue. We can have showers and wash down the ship as much as we like, so it's we're good for water.
There have been a couple of questions about how people get jobs on Falkor or how scientists get to come out here. And there's a couple of things. One, we have a website, and on that website, there's a job website. So if Falkor has an opening for any type of ship's crew, it's usually posted there. So you can go on schmidtocean.org and check out our jobs page. And if we have an opening, then that's one way to do it. Scientists actually put in proposals to come out on Falkor. So they put in a proposal with a group of their colleagues or with an organization, and they basically tell us a little bit about what they want to do, where they want to do it, what kind of equipment they want to use. And then that goes through a huge review, and different groups are selected based on sort of where Falkor is going for the next couple of years, what the plan is, and we try to fit in as many people as we can over that year. So it's a really interesting program. If you are a scientist out there and you are interested, please look at our expressions of interest period. Also, you can find that on our website, and you can an expression of interest to come to see on Falkor.
If you could swap jobs on board, who would you swap with?
Ooh, good question. So many good jobs. Who would I choose?
Well, somebody says you're great in the kitchen.
It's tempted, yeah. That'll be quite interesting. Driving the RV will be pretty cool as well. And
everybody wants Jason's job.
I know.
Yeah.
Jason, who would you switch?
Jimbo?
Any way of getting to drive a Treyu? I've done it once, and it was great fun.
Right, that's our work boat, which we it's a small boat which we launched.
It is. It goes over 30 knots, and I got to drive it in the Marshall Islands and nice flat water. It is lovely. But it steers far better when it's going fast than it goes slowly.
True. Yeah.
That's my excuse for going fast. Okay, what have we got next? Oh, do you want to talk about that?
Well, the new changeover crews have to be tested for COVID-19 before joining the crew. So yeah, we're just taking all the precautions we can really with COVID-19. So at the moment, not letting anybody come on board until down. So we're just like keeping the crew we have on board for the time being. That pans out for the next few weeks, so before we can get some new people on to replace us.
Everyone's staying just a bit longer than they would normally do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Right. Do you post on SeaGig? I don't know what SeaGig is. Do you know what SeaGig is?
I don't know.
I don't know what SeaGig is either.
Oh, sorry, we don't know what SeaGig is, James.
There's one from Mab on Harvey. How much food is on the ship? Hi, Mabs. We got loads of food. We got, I think we get about 8 pallets every port call. So it's about 8 cubic meters of fresh, frozen, dry foods as well. So it's, there's tons of food. Don't go hungry.
No, definitely not.
It's quite the job getting all of that on board. I think it took us somewhere 5 or 6 hours the last time we boarded all the provisions, and we usually do it a couple of different days. So it's an all hands on deck. If you want to eat, you got to come move a box.
Yeah. There's one for my daughter, Kiva. What do we do for entertainment on board? Well, I like to do exercise when you can, so after watches. And what else do we do? We got the internet. We could just communicate with family and friends and DVDs, library.
Yeah.
Currently playing a game.
That one?
Playing a game, you think you said?
No, I said currently we're playing a game, right?
Ah,
oh,
yes, the Assassin's game.
Yeah, that's good fun.
Yes. Okay.
All right.
There are still 9 people alive.
Okay.
That's it.
Right.
Any more questions from home, guys? Reach out. We're happy to answer your questions.
Oh, hang on. There was one. Go back down there. Do you ever strap yourself in to sleep? No. But I have felt myself getting close to the edge of the bed and almost getting ready to fall out a couple of times.
On some ships, you're in the front of the ship. It feels like you're going weightless at times. But now we can put life jackets under the mattresses if it had to wedge you up against.
Well, the problem is on this ship, of course, the life jackets are stored in different places. On a previous ship, our life jackets were stored in the cabin. On this ship, they're stored in big lockers outside, so we can't do them.
Yeah.
That's
yeah, you're right.
Tracy, the wife, do we take turns in doing the dishes? Oh, we're pretty good with that. We have like a dishwasher in the scullery, so everyone takes the plates back to the dishwasher and we all put them in. Dead.
That's a really good one there. Being in such close quarters, do you get on each other's nerves? Not generally.
No. We all get on pretty well, actually, yeah.
Okay, so what else we got? J-Rod mentioned with ROV descent really pushing the ROV. What is the limiting factor with speed on descent? Pressure on the ROV, tether unspooling speed. Is it the amount of current you can get down the wire to drive the thrusters, or?
It's just going down to 4,500 meters, only using 2 thrusters to go down. If you're just maxing them out at the max RPM that you can put down, you're going to just shorten the life of the seals, keeping out the seawater from your hydraulic circuit. And so if you don't have to push it that hard, you're going to extend the life, which anytime we don't have to replace thrusters or seals, it means more science that can be done. So
it's basically just pushing the vehicle, more wear on it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's just like a vehicle. If you're running it at high RPMs, you're going to have to change your oil out more frequently than you would if you stayed within a normal band.
So this next question I really like. Have Captain Pete and Jason ever had a cook-off? I don't believe so, but I think coming up might be the time. A little barbecue.
Could be a good idea. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think the winner gets to drive the ROV, maybe. Maybe.
We should try it sometime. Sounds like a lot of fun.
What's the temperature outside on deck?
It's about 27, 28, something like that. It's pretty warm.
It's really windy.
It's very, very windy. I think I was being blown around. There's a question about, with the coronavirus in Australia, will you limit your time in port? We are going to limit our time in port. There's a lot of changes for us than a normal port call that we have to consider. Not letting people come on the ship, us not getting off the ship, bringing provisions and all of that type of stuff on board. So all of those precautions are going to be taken with extreme care so that we stay safe on board.
All right. Let's see.
Do you have different surveyors for acquisition and post-processing? We do not. That is our Marine Technician Department of 3. So sometimes there are scientists, if their mission or their primary focus is mapping or collecting data of any particular sonar, then they will bring experts along to do some of that acquisition and post-processing. But a lot of times our mapping of opportunity is sort of done in-house by our Marine techs, myself, Jimbo, and Carl. And we do a minimum amount of processing on board, enough that we can get the ROV down to the right place on the seafloor, that we have good background maps for the ship on where they're going and safe navigation and things like that. We do as much processing. My background is multi-beam processing, so I tend to spend a little bit of extra time doing it because I find it very zen. I don't think I would have told you that 5 years ago, but now I find it quite zen. So, but no, we don't have separate people on board dedicated just to that position.
Okay, let's start with this one. Do we give young people work experience opportunities on board? Yes, we run student programs.
He's cutting out. Hold on, Jimbo. Jimbo, you're cutting out.
Just wiggle the antenna in your microphone a little bit.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, so Student Opportunities Program we have. We recently had a chap called Liam from Australia and got very into helping the ROV folks out with servicing the vehicle. What else? Man overboard drills, yeah, other drills. Talk about that?
Loads of drills. We do fire drills. In close.
You're cutting out, Captain.
Medical drills.
Medical drills. Abandoned ship drills. Yep.
We always do a drill right before we leave so that the science team is aware of our sort of fire and abandoned ship drills. So if we were to have something happen at sea, they're more not as familiar with it as the crew. And so we make sure that they are familiar with what they need to do if we were to have an emergency.
I see another one right at the end from Moth Train. Who
Hi,
built
Moth.
the ship? So the ship started life as a German government fisheries protection vessel. So it spent most of its time in the Baltic and the North Sea. The fishing fleets had a big hospital on board, so if someone became injured in the fishing fleet, taken on board Falkor, which is then known as Sea Falk or Sea Falcon, and they stabilize the person and get them back to land as soon as possible. It was also capable of towing disabled fishing boats back to port as well, so really big, powerful engines.
All right, I'll answer this question about the voltage for the ROV. They're asking what are the steps of voltage used to get power down to the ROV. So we send 4,500 volts down to the ROV on the 5,500 meters of umbilical. We send three-phase down to the motor, which we have to do that as 4,500 so that it doesn't draw a lot of amps, so higher voltage, less amps, and we don't burn up the conductors inside. Then we have two-phase going down to a subsea transformer that will then convert it to 220 and also 48, 24, 5 volts, and 3.3 volts. And on the top side, we're taking the ship's 480 volts and converting that to the 4,500 volts on the top side.
And that's everybody's Google homework for tonight. So all of you kids out there who know nothing about power, I want you to go and I want you to Google voltage, amperage, little lesson, and then come back and send us an email and let Jason know that you completely understand that part of the conversation.
Sorry.
I don't even get it.
So we have another one about what kind of degrees are required to be out here.
Yeah, I think that's a mix of, so my background is marine science. I have a bachelor's in marine science, and then I did hydrographic surveying for 15 years, and then I came to work on Falkor. Jimbo, what was your background in school and work towards Falkor?
So the highest qualification I have is a BTEC High National Diploma, which is a British qualification. It's not quite a degree, but it's probably just under. Then you would have spent years and years in
nautical college, yeah, but did a BTEC as a part of my nautical training. But I joined the Merchant Navy at 18 to do an apprenticeship to become an officer of the watch. So it's I've worked my way up since then. So it's university, but
so
it's equivalent, I think.
There are all ways to get on Falkor. You don't necessarily have to go to university to do that. Jason didn't go to university, so there's definitely a lot of technical skills that you can learn, a lot of on-the-job training. Like I said, my background is marine science, and we do a lot more than I ever learned in college. So just get out there, find something that you're really interested in, find something that you love. That's the most important thing about, I think, getting to come out to sea or on any job is find something that you're really interested in, learn as much about it as you can, and just go out and enjoy doing it.
All right. Last time they asked what the strangest animal it is that you have seen. So, Captain and Jimbo?
Oh, gosh.
Ooh, a siphonosphere? That was pretty strange. I haven't seen one of those before.
Was that the big, huge one that we saw coming up partway through the... Yeah, that was huge. It might be a record breaker. Are we still looking at that possibly being a record breaker?
We don't know yet.
We don't know
still
yet.
Out there.
Yeah, it's still
Stay
out there.
tuned.
Oh, that could be kind of cool.
We've seen some interesting things on the seabed this cruise so far as well. We've seen some...
And on previous cruises, the
fish.
blue dragon worm, J-Rod?
I never actually got called that because they couldn't find. There was no DNA inside of it. Well, inside the samples.
That's a shame.
I think these sea cucumbers are quite odd. The ones with the tails.
The big
I think
sail
in
things
terms
on top,
of
yeah.
weirdness, that's got to be sometimes my. Yeah, and the fish with no eyes, but of course we know that a lot of times really deep fish don't need eyes, but still, it's really creepy to look at.
Okay, so let's talk about our Artist at Sea program. Typically, when we have an artist on board, it's only one at a time, but there has been the odd occasion where we had about 4 or 5 on. Were you on for that one?
No, I was on leave. It was a passage up to Portland.
There's a passage. That was where the art that was created in the corridor. You saw the art of the ghostfish mural on the corridor was done. About 5 different people on at a time, and they all did something on the way up. It was pretty hectic, but pretty amazing. But yeah, typically one artist at a time on board, and that's basically because berths on Falkor are at a premium. We've only got 21, 22. That's not correct.
21.
Yeah, so the artist essentially takes one berth away from that, and you got all the ROV technicians as well. So hopefully one day we'll get a bigger ship.
Just turning a corner now, so it's going to get a bit rough.
If you see us sliding across the floor, you'll know why.
Yeah.
There was a question, I'm not sure if we answered this already, sorry, but who converted the ship to its present configuration?
All right. The Schmidt Ocean Institute bought the ship in 2009 from the German Coast Guard, and then it was converted between 2009 till 2012. And it was completely gutted. Everything was gutted pretty much, apart from the main engines and the hull. And then it was rebuilt, so the ship's pretty much new.
And that was done at a place called Peter's Schiffbau in a town called Weevelsfleet. And I apologize to any Germans if my pronunciation is incorrect, which is somewhere near Hamburg in Germany. Okay. Does the ROV consume a lot of power, Jason? He's having problems with his headset right now.
There we go. I think I'm good.
Yeah, you are. We can hear you.
Actually, in retrospect, really not that much. Chief Allen hasn't yelled at us too much yet for wasting all the fuel. But as long as there's fuel on board, we're good to go. It's really all that much, not that much of an amp draw.
Okay, does the ship have stabilizers?
Yes, we got 2 fin stabilizers. They're like little wings that come out of the side of the ship, and when you're steaming along, they tilt up and down just to keep the ship stable. So it's pretty neat.
Okay, so who do you operate for? Okay, so basically we operate for the scientists. That's what we're here for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're a platform for scientists to use. We provide sea time, and the ship comes up. We can use the ship.
I think that answers that question. I mean, we're called Schmidt Ocean Institute, but we're here. There's no reason for us to be here without the scientists that come on board.
Yeah. There's one for me. The ship does have a foghorn, and it's mandatory to sound it in fog, so it's pretty loud. So it's yeah.
Thankfully, we have not had any fog yet.
No. Stay away from bad weather if we can.
We had quite a bit in the Emperor Seamount, though.
Yeah, I heard that. And it was pretty noisy, the foghorn. I guess it kept people awake throughout the night, huh?
I think it's worse than the bow thruster.
How often are you supposed to sound it off when you're in thick fog, Captain?
Once every 2 minutes. There's one prolonged blast every 2 minutes, and if you're stopped, it's every 1 minute. So it's it can get pretty noisy.
Okay, everybody at home, we have about 2 more minutes left of this evening. I want to thank everybody for joining us tonight. I want to thank Captain Pete and Jimbo and Jason and everybody for kind of sharing how and what goes on Falkor. This is your opportunity to ask any last-minute questions, reach out, and and see what we do here. If you have any more questions about FAlkor or the science expedition that's going on, please visit our website at schmidtocean.org. You can catch all of our ROV dives live on Facebook and YouTube at both Schmidt Ocean Institute's YouTube page and Facebook page. So please like it, share it, subscribe to it, and you'll get updates on when we go live. We have one more of these live FAlkor Live Ship to Shores. We have another one on Wednesday, same time, and it's going to be about following a sample from sea to shelf. So our experts here from the Western Australian Museum are going to explain what happens when a sample is collected on Sebastian, come up to the lab, what happens to it in the lab. You guys got to see a little peek of that last on Friday in the wet lab, but we were going to also follow it all the way to the museum and sort of figure out what are they going to do with it once they leave FAlkor. How often do you do volcanology cruises?
That's from Oscar. Hi, Oscar. The first cruise I did on FAlkor back in November 2017 was a cruise called Underwater Fire. That was the West Mata volcano near Samoa.
That was my first cruise too.
Was that yours? Yes, too. Yeah, that's right. And I remember you gave me some Bononite rock from that cruise. It's at home in my house at the moment. So that was, I haven't done one since then. So I'd say on average once every couple of years.
Awesome. There was another question. What is our range of ship on a full fuel load?
That's a good question.
I think Emperor Seamount was the most we stretched it.
Yeah, that was a lot of
Or
miles.
White Shark Cafe.
Yeah.
Really? Yeah.
Thousands of miles. All depends how fast you go as well. If we go at full speed of 15 knots, we double our fuel consumption. So we generally just steam around on one engine, and that just ups the fuel consumption and increases our endurance, really. So it depends. It would just be thousands of miles, generally 3,000 or 4,000 miles, maybe.
Nice. Are lots of
Make it across the Atlantic then.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, which is what we did in 2012. Yeah, although we did stop at.
There are lots of thank yous from home. We thank everybody as well for joining us. We are doing this for you as well as our science teams. Science communication is one of the important parts of our job, being able to share what we do here on FAlkor, bring you those live images of the sea floor or the water column. Jason loves flowing mid-water. There was a question from home, how long do you dive down? That has a lot of variables. How deep it is, how long we can stay, how long the workday of the ROV team is. So there is no limit really of FAlkor, of Sebastian for being on the seafloor. Sebastian could stay as long as as we could let it. I think sometimes we need the ship to not stay stationary forever and ever. So we have our longest dive so far is a little over 24 hours. So we have done very long dives to very short 1 or 2 hours on the bottom, shallow water dives. Sometimes we're down there a very short period of time. The vehicle doesn't like being very hot.
And we don't have a lot of storage space for samples, so typically we would have to come back up to at least take off the samples
or use the lander.
Yeah. And my nephew has
one known as an elevator.
An elevator, yes, the lander. You are going to get to see a little bit about the lander and the fish trap on Wednesday's Sea to Shelf expedition live from FAlkor. We'll talk a little bit more and show some video from this expedition. We've been using both a fish trap and a lander. My nephew Patrick wants to know if watching the screens for long dives gives you a headache like distance learning is giving him. So yeah, we have I think 29 TV screens in this room, 27, 29, and we definitely all take turns spending time in here. You get quite sucked into watching all of this video, but it can be exhausting after a while being in a dark room with lots of screens. So we all take breaks. We share screen time with each other. Good luck, Patrick. You can do this distance learning. I know it. So all of you kids at home having to spend more and more and more time in front of your computer, remember to take breaks. Remember to go outside in your backyard or look out a window. Get off the tablet, get off the computer as much as you can. But school is important. Okay.
Okay.
I think that's it for this evening. Thank you again, everybody, for joining us. We'll catch you Wednesday, and hopefully by Wednesday we will also be in the water with ROV Sebastian. Maybe, Pete? What's our weather forecast?
Yeah, Wednesday morning we'll be going back in, I think. It's looking like got another 24 hours or so of bad weather. So yeah, we'll be back in the water Wednesday. Fingers crossed.
Awesome. Thanks, everybody. Goodbye.